Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope everybody's enjoying the lore because I'm going balls to the wall with lore this month. I'm so excited to have Gonz and Disney back here again, and we're going to talk today about the Landgraab family.
Yay. Excited to do it.
I'm excited to learn more. Again, this is the podcast. I was like, I have notes because I know some stuff. I know 1% lore.
So I think one of the things that I wanted to do was that rather than kind of talk about like how each game or whatever, I thought we would approach this as a chronological history of the Landgraab family, right?
Amazing.
So I think before anything, we should kind of give a little primer as to what the Landgrabs are, right?
Mhm.
So the Landgrabs were introduced in The Sims 1. They are a very prominent family. A lot of businesses are owned by the Landgrabs. Their name, of course, is a pun on the fact that they just steal up all the land, right? Land grab. Really, at the very beginning, we don't know anything about them until their lore starts to expand and it becomes this wealth of information and intrigue, which we are going to start covering today. So we are going to talk about so many different games, so many different spin-offs as to how the Landgrabs came to be, right? So unless anyone has any objections, I figured we'll just get started.
I
Let's
think we're
go.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Okay, so the very first instance of the oldest Landgrab that we have is actually Gregory Landgrab, 18th century founder of the Landgrab family. We actually get this as a note within The Sims 3, I want to say, right? But it's a teacher. Gregory Landgrab is a teacher who mysteriously and for not a good reason comes into a tremendous amount of wealth. And suddenly they're just the richest family of all time. We don't really know why. We don't actually have a good reason as to how this teacher got the wealth that he did, but he definitely did, right? And that's kind of where it all starts. Now, the next instance that we get of the Landgrabs, as far as the chronological history is concerned, of course, is The Sims Medieval, particularly Pirates and Nobles. But we have the Landegrabs. Did I say it? The Landegrabs? Landegraab. Now, there have been some proponents who have argued that this is a completely different family, but my position is that they're just trying to do like the old English version of the name, like they're trying to claim that it's like the old school by adding that little e in the middle of it, right? It's the same family, guys, right? But the Landgrabs are the owners of Trendany, which is the richest city in The Sims Medieval. You have Demetrius Landgrab and a couple of other individuals, but they're basically a noble family, and they are responsible for amassing wealth, stealing stealing wealth from the poor, and just all around taking as much money as possible from everyone else. Right? We learn later on as well in The Sims 1 and as well as multiple games that the next Landgrab in history of note is Admiral Landgrab. So we see Admiral Landgrab in The Sims 1, 2, 3, 4 even, not in person, but rather in items within the game. We know that this Admiral Landgrab settled a large amount of the worlds of The Sims. Like they were basically a colonizer. They went out there and just discovered the world as we know it, right? There are multiple items from Admiral Landgrab. We don't know his name. We just know that it's Admiral Landgrab, unfortunately. But it's believed that he was actually the one who founded Sunset Valley, which, of course, is in The Sims 3, which we're going to talk about. However, that leads us to the next point of chronological history, and that is The Sims 3. Now, I have to take a moment to explain this every time we talk about lore, is that we have to talk about the chronological history of the Sims game. Okay. Now, despite the fact that the Sims came out, Sims 1, Sims 2, Sims 3, and Sims 4, chronologically, that's not how those games work. Officially, the first game in the series is The Sims 3. From there, we have The Sims 1. From there, we have The Sims 2. And then Sims 4 is considered to be an alternate reality version of The Sims. It's completely separate from the timeline. So the fact that we are now talking about The Sims 3, again, is indicative of where our stories are going to move forward. So Having said that, we're now in The Sims 3, and we meet the more famous of the Landgrabs. Right, we have Nancy and Jeffrey Landgrab. Okay, they have their son Michael, and we learn that they live in Sunset Valley.
Malcolm.
Malcolm, sorry, did I say something else? I'm sorry. We have Sunset Valley, right? Sunset Valley blossomed because of the Landgrabs. The Landgrabs were entirely responsible for taking this entire town and making it the metropolis that it is, right? Because of that, they actually have a rivalry with their neighbor, quite literally their neighbors. Like they live in front of each other, right? Like that's hilariously how they're set up with the Alto family. Now, the Altos are an extremely famous family from The Sims 3. They are based on The Sopranos, very famous TV show. They came out around the same time. And they are the crime family, right? The understanding in The Sims is that the Altos are the criminals. They're dirty money. They made their money in illegal ways. And the Landgrabs, all they did is use the free market in order to generate all of their income, right? However, we're going to learn that that might not have necessarily been the case, right? But before we get into that, we need to talk about the family dynamics of the Landgrabs. Of course, we have Nancy and Joffrey Landgrab. People often think that Jeffrey is the actual, or Joffrey, I know we argue about it all the time. I call him Jeffrey, that's his name. We argue, a lot of people often think that he's like the Landgrab heir, but it's not. Nancy is actually the official Landgrab. Jeffrey is something else entirely. Nancy and Malcolm have a very poor relationship. Officially, Nancy is too busy making money in order to pay attention to Malcolm. But this is an aspect that we are going to expand upon in The Sims 4, which we'll talk about in a moment. But we end up learning within The Sims 3, if you join the criminal career, right, you get a note from a Magnus Landgrab. I'll say that again. A note from Magnus Landgrab, who basically is the highest ranking criminal in this particular criminal enterprise. And it leads us to believe that the Landgrabs themselves might actually be a little bit more corrupted than we originally thought, right? And it kind of opens up the stories for what The Sims 4 will ultimately tell, right? Which we'll talk about that in just a little bit, right? The Altos and the Landgrabs, they hate each other. They fight as often as they can. All around unpleasant. I love the fact that they live right next to each other. I think that that's adorable. I think that that's just like the funniest way to have a rivalry whatsoever. But again, at this point in the story, the Landgrabs are a tremendous enterprises. They own real estate. They own power companies. They own trash and recycling. Like they basically own everything in this world, right? Like they are the singular most powerful family that's ever existed. All right. Now, we move on to The Sims 1. And The Sims 1, of course, is the official first time that we see the Landgrabs. But as far as the story is concerned, a lot more has happened before, and now we're here, right? We meet Malcolm Landgrab, who is the richest man in town at this point, right? Now, we've learned, of course, that his mother and father were there. His mother wasn't very present in his life, but he marries his wife, Mimi Landgrab, and they have a son, Dudley. Now, Dudley is famous in the Sims community because he is about as deadbeat as they come. He does not want to be rich. He does not want to pursue the same career. He just kind of wants to be a jokester and live his own life and be like a party animal. That's all he wants to do is just party, party, party. And Malcolm basically disowns him for being who he is, right? Just kind of hates him for what he is, right? Unfortunately, from this point on in the story, Dudley disappears. We don't really see Dudley again. I know he does appear in The Sims 3 as like a gallery NPC that you can download and everything like that. But as far as the story is concerned, it doesn't kind of move forward from there, right? When we move into The Sims 2, however, we learn that the Landgrabs have continued to flourish, right? The Landgrabs have actually founded a house within the University of the Sim State College. And they have a secret society called the Landgraab Society. Now, we don't know a lot about the Landgraab Society, but it's often like assumed that it's kind of like a skull and bones sort of thing, where it's like it's very like suspicious and it's very like secretive for like the high-ranking elites or whatever. But truthfully, as far as lore is concerned, we don't really know anything about them whatsoever and what comes in that particular thing. I like to think that they do horrible things, but that's just because I think the Landgrabs are the worst family in the world. But I absolutely enjoy kind of that aspect, right? Now, we do have to then take a moment to go back to Sims 3 for a moment, because and again, we've talked about this before, but if you guys don't know, The Sims 3 jumps around in time. Not all the worlds in The Sims 3 take place at the exact same time. So despite the fact that I said Sims 3 is technically at the beginning of the timeline, it's also at the end. Because there is a world called Lunar Lakes within The Sims 3, which canonically takes place hundreds to thousands of years in the future. And in fact, Lunar Lakes is actually a city in the moon, right? And in Lunar Lakes, we actually continue to see the Landgraab family there, right? It is their descendants at this point. They're still living large. They're still the most affluent family that exists, but they're just continuing on. Their wealth continues to spread and continues to accumulate. So as far as like the Sims storyline, the Sims timeline, there's no end to them. They don't like fall off. They don't get their just desserts. They don't fall off and lose all of their money. They just continue to grow and accumulate wealth all the way to like the very, very end. And they are just super prominent. Now, everything that I've just said, right? Everything that we've talked about Nancy, Joffrey, Malcolm, all of this, are stories that eventually get consolidated and made into what the Sims 4 Landgrabs are, which is completely different. And I think that that's an important thing that we need to note. The Nancy, Jeffrey, and Malcolm within the Sims 4 are not the same. They are not canonically the same. They are not the same people. They are not related. They are their own offshoot of what those characters eventually became. And again, it's important to note that, but they do bring in a lot of aspects to it, right? So Nancy, Jeffrey, and Malcolm, right? They're in the Sims 4 in base game. Nancy is a criminal, right? And again, this is a reference to the Sims 3 and the criminal aspect that I mentioned earlier. It turns out that they've made that canon, and officially they are part of this like corrupted. That's how they amass their wealth, is through crime, right? Malcolm, go ahead. Court,
No,
oh, sorry.
I agree.
Okay. Malcolm is evil in The Sims 4. He is an evil child, an evil teenager. He's not a very good person whatsoever. There's also like a secret agent aspect to Jeffrey as well. So like there's a lot of intrigue within that family as to what's really happening, right? But we have to talk about the blonde elephant in the room, of course, which is Johnny Zest, right? Now, officially, The Sims has never confirmed if Johnny Zest is actually the son of Nancy Landgraab, right? They have never officially stated, right? There have been many indications within the stories that's the case. Famously enough, during the release of Growing Together, I want to say it's Growing Together, correct me if I'm wrong, they released some promotional material within Twitter that showed various Sims holding like the baby versions of Sims, when they were young or whatever. And you see Johnny Zest being held by a woman who has the exact same build and haircut as Nancy Landgraab, right? And some simmers went into the actual picture and like pulled like the metadata, which is basically like the HTML of the image, and it actually says Johnny Zest and mom, right? So they were able to come to the realization that yes, indeed, canonically, Nancy is like, his mother, right? there's a history of family disownment within the Landgrabs. Again, Malcolm eventually disowns his son Dudley, so it's presumed that Johnny is meant to be the spiritual reincarnation of Dudley. Right? He wants to be a comedian. He wants to become famous. Nancy hates that, and then she kicks him out, disowns him, and he goes on to live his life. Right? So many people have clamored for Johnny to be officially recognized as her son. I really wish that they would. If I'm being honest with you, I really wish that they would update him to actually be canonically a Landgrab. Whether they do that or not, I don't really know. But yeah, in that's kind of like the overall condensed history of the Landgrabs. Like the Landgrabs have been a family entirely focused on amassing wealth and subjugating individuals by any means to do it, right? They are kind of the worst family ever, but like we have something about the anti-hero in us that we love to see them, we love to watch them, we love to play with them. And again, we love to hate them, right? And that's ultimately how I feel about the Landgrabs. But I think I covered everything. Let me know if I missed something, but I think
You
I
did actually.
Yeah, you
what?
did.
Oh, hit me. What did I forget?
So what I love about Jeffrey Landgrab is
Yes.
he actually took on Nancy's last name.
Oh yeah, yeah.
His last name is Austere.
Yes. Yes.
And they released that information in high school years when they did the high school yearbook of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mortimer, Nancy, Eliza, Bob, and Jeff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's cool.
Jeffrey is a really good guy. Like Jeffrey is the like the saving grace of the Landgrabs. And since we're talking about naming and stuff like that, I should actually bring up Malcolm is a historical name as far as the Landgrabs are concerned. There's always a Malcolm. There's like Malcolm the Fourth, Malcolm the Sixth. Like it is a name that has gone through history of different Landgrabs. So Nancy named her son Malcolm. Chances are she had a grandfather named Malcolm. Chances are there've been other Malcolms, and then Malcolm will have more Malcolms. So folks, if you're listening and you're playing the Landgrabs, you need to make sure that every single generation has a Malcolm. That is the canonical way to play the Landgrabs. So just keep that in mind.
We should have added a land grab to your decades
We
challenge.
should honestly we should have we messed up not doing that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. Honestly, the only thing I think I found is that the
Shit.
Landgrab name was also in SimCity.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it was.
Oh,
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't know
that's a good
that.
point. Yeah, yeah. Again, the name itself originally spawned off of the fact that it was just like land grab, like the land grab, right? Like they're the Landgrab family. So it was a pun that they then inserted into the Sims. So yes, absolutely. That's a note that I forgot to mention. But yeah, 100%. You got me there. You got me there. You
Oh
beat
my
me to
God. Oh my God. Everybody document this moment. I actually I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, I had my little notes
it.
because I came in prepared for this one. I was like, okay, this is
Mhm.
easy. This is like one family. Like I can at least put
Right.
something in there. Amazing. Yes, I was like, oh yeah, it's part of the Sim City. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for my moment to shine. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so a lot of people don't know this, but again, this is kind of separate, but it's worth bringing up. Simlish was invented for SimCity. Like it was the like Simlish began in SimCity, and it in Sims 1, it's a very basic thing, and it isn't until the Sims 2 that Simlish becomes its own language and everything like that. Supposedly, the voice actors actually
Oh,
have like Simlish dictionaries that have never been made public. Like it's never been made official for some reason, and I'm very sad that it hasn't.
they need to give it to you, Gonz. You
Yeah.
basically.
Exactly. Yeah, I should find that out. But yeah.
Yes. I'm shocked that like do you think like money? Just
Mhm.
printing money at that point of being like giving us Simmers the dictionary.
Right.
We shall see. But
Yeah,
Gonz, Disney, thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you so much for educating me on the land grabs, of getting
for
to
sure.
know more of them. And
Mhm.
honestly, justice for Johnny. Okay.
I would
But
love to see him more of him, but yeah.
yeah, I agree. Gonz, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch at my name is Gonz.
Amazing Disney, where can we find you?
You can find me at the Disney Sims and at Townie Tales.
Well, please go follow them both. The links are going to be below. I hope everyone's enjoying these little lore bits. This is coming to the end for the next little bit, but we will definitely be picking up more throughout the year. I have some other ideas. Simlish is definitely one that I really want to discuss at some point
Sure.
because I think it'd be interesting to know. And obviously, Gonz, anytime I'm like, I message you being like, I don't know what to talk about. And you come up with the best episodes. I always love that. But thank you both so much for coming here today. Thank you for everybody listening. I will see you all very soon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.